Welcome to GoJo and Golic. Mike Golic Jr., Mike Golic Sr., and Jesse Cofield holding it down for us, as always, in the DraftKings studios in Boston. We're brought to you by Wrangler, made for the ride of life. Save 15% on your first Wrangler.com order using promo code GOJO15. Got a great show for you guys. As always, download, subscribe, rate, review, leave us that 5-star rating, and check us out live Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on the DraftKingsNetwork.com, DraftKings YouTube channel, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, and more. Great one coming up for you today. Jeff Brohm, the head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, going to stop by en route to their ACC championship matchup against Florida State. Talk to him about a phenomenal year one back at his alma mater. We've also got Marcus Williams, Baltimore Ravens safety, tapping in on one of the coolest defenses in the NFL as we get towards really the end and home stretch of the season. But it is Wednesday, and that means one thing around these parts. Fly the flag, put the graphic up. Our friend Charlotte Wilder, co-host of Oddball with Amin El Hassan, joining us now on the show. Charlotte, what's going on, bud?
Hey, that graphic gets, like, I swear, cooler and cooler every week. Thrilled to be here with you all. How's everybody doing?
Oh, we're doing well. Just really quickly want to know, how was your Thanksgiving holiday? How did that weekend go? Everything good?
Oh, phenomenal. I also will say the Sunday scaries after Thanksgiving, all time bad, like really bad. So I'm thrilled to be here with you guys this week. I'm down in Miami to do some stuff with the Le Batard crew, and that's making it a little bit better. It's like, oh, okay, I have something to do. Here we go. But no, it was wonderful. I ate a lot, and that's just, I think that's important. You know, I don't think people are always like, you know, be kind to yourself if you eat a lot on Thanksgiving because we live in this stupid diet culture world. But I think it's actually like, it's important to eat a lot on Thanksgiving if you are able and enjoy to. It's an important thing. So I really enjoyed myself, guys.
That's very true, because I was with my family on Thanksgiving, and I was thoroughly miserable for the rest of the day after the meal. And I remember at one point, like, limping over to the bathroom, and I'm like, you did it. You did it right this year. It's supposed to hurt if you do it right. And we got to that point. Charlotte, I do want to ask you, because we kind of made the brave leap. Everyone always slanders turkey going into Thanksgiving. We just didn't have one this year. Did you guys still go with the bird?
Oh, wow. You know, a few years ago, so my cousin and my uncle, they own a cheese shop of Salem in Massachusetts. If you live there, go check it out. I also might be losing my voice. Who's to say? So they really do it up, which is great, because then all of us just get to enjoy it. But during the pandemic, when we were not with them, I was like, I'm not tackling a turkey. So we did 2 roast chickens, which was great. But I actually like turkey. I actually think it's sort of a fun thing to have. When else do you get to pretend you're at medieval times, is all I'm saying. So that's in that
sense. Yeah, I get it.
In that sense, I do enjoy it.
To the other part of that, to Mike's part, I think in our family, turkey is like, and we've talked about this, like 6th on the list. So our thought is, why waste our time because it's involved, to make a turkey, the thawing and the stuffing inside and blah, blah, everything like that. But if it's not high on our food list, we'll figure, why waste our time? Let's put our effort into something we're really going to like.
Yeah, I respect that. As always, you guys are innovating.
We're trying to innovate right now. Charlotte trying to battle through a little bit of lost voice. And Charlotte, I'd imagine it's because you were mainlining Heat culture last night. Did I see you and Amin Al-Hassan were at the Heat Bucks in-season tournament game? I need the full scoop, Charlotte. Take us inside this, because we've been talking for a while on this show about how we think, especially you and I, the in-season tournament is working. And last night, Milwaukee and Miami looked like playoff basketball. You were there. How did it feel in the building?
Oh, it felt like playoff basketball. Like I couldn't hear Amin next to me. I kept being like, what? Which I guess I do anyway, so maybe that's not a fair, assessment. But no, it was electric in there. And the funny part, guys, that I liked so much about this was the Heat couldn't make the in-season tournament. Like, they were cooked already. This was simply everybody in Miami getting into the fact that they had the chance to prevent the Bucks from getting there. The Bucks with Damian Lillard, who was supposed to come to Miami, who wanted to, who didn't. Afterwards, I saw Dame and Bam hugging, and Bam said something into his ear, and I was like, he's probably saying, like, there's still time, it's still possible. But no, it was. I
still love you.
Yeah, like there's a chance. It was so cool, and I think you don't have to look any further than the Celtics playing the Bulls last night, destroying them, and then hacking Andre Drummond at the end because they needed the point differential, even though they were up by 27. And you can see Joe Mazzulla saying to Billy Donovan, like, no, we need the points. And that the players got that into it to go along with that plan and do it, to try to get as many points to actually get into this thing, I think is a huge testament to the fact that this actually might be working.
So I will say I was questioning big time what the players didn't even understand it. I have grown to enjoy this. And I think part of it is the players started to understand it a little more. It doesn't mean they like it. A lot of them talked about they didn't like the whole point differential thing. And you see that in soccer at the World Cup, the goal differential for ties and who moves on. So I think it's just that the players aren't used to that. If you win by 1, you win. It doesn't matter if you win by 1 or by 30. Now all of a sudden you're told we got to win by 13 or we got to win by 20 or this team has to lose by so much. That's not in the DNA of that sport. So I think that caught some players off guard. I think it was one of the coaches said, it got its intended purpose across, not knowing if they really loved it. But I think players started to understand this a little bit more, and you're getting toward the end. So it's like the fourth quarter when the Pro Bowl used to be the Pro Bowl. It starts to get competitive because A, you win, and B, there's money on the line. And remember, there's $500,000 a player for the winners here. So I've grown to like it a little more, and I think the players understand it now a little more. Not fully like it, because I don't know if you can do anything different, Charlotte. You need something as a tiebreaker. So, like I said, in soccer, it's point differential, so I don't know if you could do anything different.
The thought process, I think, is when the league expands, now all of a sudden you wouldn't need group play. It would just be single elimination all the way through if you've got an even 32 teams. I think that's what they've run into, is my understanding right now. So that could kind of change that up. And this is sort of, hey, we got to introduce the concept right now and get it going. But
Charlotte, would you want that? I mean, I like the group play if they expand and go, because right now you're in the knockout round. So, for the quarters of what we have left. If they expand and go just to a single elimination, would you like that? Or would you like kind of the group play? I know we're only a year in, but...
I'm sort of liking the group play because of how confusing it is and how you could have, like, depending on whether the Knicks absolutely destroyed the Hornets or not, like, they could be going to Vegas or they could not be going to Vegas as the game's going on. I think there's something really fun about the sort of chaotic math of it all, which, to be honest, I don't fully understand, except that I do love that, going into last night, the Celtics, for example, were at 0. Their point differential was just 0. And then they beat the Bulls, and all of a sudden it was 27. It's like, so you're saying there's a chance? Like, I think that the point differential, first of all, NBA players are so competitive that if you tell them, hey, you have a chance to win $500,000, like, they bet on they'll do friendly wagers with each other on anything. Like, I think that actually is incentive. But then if you're like, you guys not only have to win, you have to win by 40. It's like, okay, well, try me. And I think that in that sense, it's working. I think whatever form it ends up taking, it's still a really fun added element to the season that it makes it feel electric in a way. And who's to say, like with TV ratings, for example, if you want to use that as a metric, you can't actually tell whether, like, if a game was Pistons Pacers last year and now that time slot is Celtics Thunder, that's obviously going to be a higher percentage of viewers are going to tune in. So does the in-season tournament boost that more? You might never know because you can't go back and then play that game without the in-season tournament. But I do think that it is providing a little bit of a boost, at least in the way we talk about it. And you're going to end up with this spectacle in Vegas that who's not going to tune into that? So in that sense, I think the fact that it's holding its own more against the back half of the NFL season is pretty impressive.
I agree. And Mike, it's interesting to me, sometimes strategy. Did you hear Steve Kerr? They needed to win by 13. And what a game that was. They were up by 24 and lose. Malik Monk goes nuts at the end. 21 off the bench, hits the game winner. But regardless, they had to win by 13. And he was like, so if we're down or if we're up 2 as time's running out, do we let them score a bucket to go to overtime so we can try and beat them by 13? I mean, it's pretty wild, some of the scenarios that all of a sudden coaches and players had to think of.
That's boy math right there taking place in the NBA in-season tournament. And Charlotte is absolutely right in that it's going to be, and for the NBA, the goal of this, I think, was to bring excitement to the middle of the season because they do need to fatten TV numbers because Adam Silver and company are focused on how much they can sell to league partners when it comes to the next television deal. I do think that's top of mind for them in this, but just in the general health of the league, we had been searching for things to make the regular season more palatable, and what already seems to have formed around this is some semblance of meanings. And whether it's, and I think it's all of it. I think it's being reinforced with the courts. I think it's the teams being hyper aware of these situations. It feels different because everyone involved, and we talked about this at the beginning, the buy-in of the networks to flash graphics, which were all over the screen last night. It felt like March Madness where you had the little score bugs for pretty much every game and all these group stages popped on there and they're talking about this. There's this hyper fixation on it. And all of a sudden you're starting to go, in year one, we've managed to make this feel like a thing, to create meaning out of nothing. And that's kind of sports in general. But I think that's really difficult and something I wasn't sure Adam Silver and company were going to be able to pull off with this in the same way their European soccer counterparts have been able to do for years with history on their side. So it's been pretty incredible to watch that. It was that was a game last night, Charlotte, where the Heat were down Tyler Hero, they were down Jimmy Butler in that game. And so the normal thing that we've talked about in this, which is the NBA trying to war against resting its stars and the things that have kept big-time players off the court for prominent TV matchups, were offset, which alone, impressive for the whole Heat culture idea that Bam Adebayo and the crew there were able to go up there against a fully loaded Milwaukee Bucks squad and take them all the way down to the wire.
Oh, totally. And I think that that's part of what the tournament was hoping to inspire, a little extra oomph, when it comes to you've got to play without some guys. I also think that we've seen a lot of stars, unless they're suspended for choking out Rudy Gobert, show up and be in these games. I also will say something that was very interesting to me is the in-season tournament. That would be a cornhole tournament. The in-season tournament courts, which looks so crazy on TV, and it felt like they were playing on a green screen at first. In person, it looked pretty cool. Like the Heat have a very red court, and before the game, I was like, "This is a very red court. We'll see how this goes." And then watching it sort of faded it faded away a little bit and wasn't the only thing I was thinking about. So I do think it makes it feel a little different and special. You're like, well, humans are so simple. We're like, there's a different court. There must be something going on. And then it sort of carries you over. So I hate to admit that I'm just I don't hate to admit it. It's cool to like things. I'm very into this. I really like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those that are casual fans and wondering, we're in the quarters. It's Boston at Indy and New Orleans at Sacramento on one side, and the Knicks at Milwaukee and Phoenix at the Lakers on the other side. Semis are December 7th and finals are December 9th. And where are the finals again?
Vegas?
Yeah. So that was I should have just said.
I was like, is this a joke? Are you setting me up for a bit?
No,
I couldn't tell if it was rhetorical or not. You sold it really well. So
here's why I say that. It wasn't long ago that Vegas had to sports had the Wakanda force field around it, right? It wouldn't let sports in. It was like taboo. You don't enter here because bad things will happen. Now you can't get enough sports in Vegas. And to pro teams going there, now we got a baseball team going there. You have all kind of events there. The Super Bowl this year, the draft was there. You have the finals and semis of this tournament here. I mean, Vegas has become a great sports town, and I guess we've talked about this for a while, Mike, but I'm just happy to see that most people, because I'm sure there's still some, most people are past this taboo of Vegas and gambling and casinos that are going to ruin professional sports when it's done nothing but enhance it.
I mean, listen, the biggest gambling scandals we've had in the world of sports were in the state of Iowa, for God's sake. Yeah. Like, it can happen anywhere. It doesn't need to be in Las Vegas for a bunch of people to get popped for gambling on sports. So, yeah, you know what it is? And like, calling it a sports town, I'm not even sure, because I understand there's a robust local population there. I don't know how much of that actually comprises the people you see, but it's a great event town, right? Like, we've talked about it before. Yeah. The Super Bowl and a lot of these big-time events should really rotate between like 3 or 4 cities, if we're all being honest, with who hosts big parties very well. I understand a lot of teams and a lot of cities spend time and resources trying to attract these committees because it does a lot for the local economy. You want to get these events in your place, but realistically, it should be like New Orleans, probably not even Los Angeles, like New Orleans, Las Vegas, and a couple of other cities that are actually built to do this. And so Vegas is a great event city. It understands how to do things big. It renders well on screen, and it can accommodate a ton of people coming into town the way it's going to have to for the Super Bowl upcoming here to make a big event feel big. And Charlotte, I think that's always what you're looking for is, at the end of this now, it's going to feel big because, again, another simple human brain thing is, Las Vegas, something important's happened there. It's big, it's bright, it's fun. It's the NBA in-season tournament.
Totally. And something I was thinking about last night as I was watching the game that was very funny is I was like, so they're just going, if you think about it in plain terms, 4 teams are going to go play regular season games in Las Vegas, and then there's an extra one to win $500,000. Like, there's something very funny to me about, these are regular season. Yeah, sure, they're the in-season tournament. They also sort of count toward your record in a way that you would need anything to in a season where this wasn't happening. And so I think that the gold of it all, the gilding of it all, is an apt metaphor for what the league is doing. There's sort of, with the in-season tournament, I think they are trying to Las Vegasify the league a little bit with gilding the lily, you could say. But I also think that the thing about Las Vegas that works is when you go there, you can know, hey, this is a crazy place where, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. This isn't real life, but you love it, and once you enter that space, you are all in. And I think that the NBA has actually done a pretty good job of making us believe in something the way you have to believe in something when you go to Vegas and you sit down at one of those slot machines. So it's actually pretty impressive, and I think Vegas is a perfect place to end this beautiful journey we've all been on.
And I will tell you the perfect ending that they need. So what do we have? 12 on the bench or 15 on a team, the roster, let's just say 15. So $500,000 per player is $7.5 million cash. Do it like the poker. bring the cash at the beginning of the game and put it right by the scoreboard there, or right by the mid-court, $7.5 million in cash. This is what you guys are playing for. That would be awesome.
You know what the league really needs? The league really needs the Knicks to win the in-season tournament, because Knicks fans are so starved for anything. They would be so psyched to win the in-season tournament. And from then on, it would mean a lot to the city of New York, which is the major market, one of, but, the Garden. And then you would have a group of evangelists for the in-season tournament in the place you need the most, in the place that is starved for the most wins. So I think I think that's a dream scenario for the league if the New York Knicks win the in-season tournament.
So it just popped into my brain as I'm sitting here imagining even a more dystopian version of what Dad described, which is like Squid Game, where you put the money hovering above the court at all times in a giant orb above their heads. But the funniest part about all this is Charlotte making me realize somebody's going to hang a banner off this, and it's instantly going to become the funniest, most meme-worthy thing in sports. And what would be better than Madison Square Garden hanging an in-season tournament championship banner?
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Louisville suffered a tough loss this past weekend to Kentucky. Now they turn their attention to the ACC championship this Saturday against Florida State in hopes of ending the Seminoles' playoff dream. So the man tasked with taking them down joins the guys right now.
Yeah, very excited to talk to Louisville head football coach Jeff Brohm, who joins us now. And Coach, good morning. And first off, congratulations on an incredible first season back in Louisville. How has this felt, getting back here now, a place you played, a place you've coached before, but being in the chair as the head guy now going through all this?
Well, it's been a good run to this point. I think that you came in here wanting to win, and I'm from here, have so many ties that I feel the pressure. I know these fans want to see wins and victories and competing at the highest level, and the team playing hard. So we try to give it to them this year. I think our guys have played hard all year. We've had a chance in every game won some close games, lost a couple close games due to some turnovers and not playing as efficient as we want. But, we've done a good job to this point, and we've earned this opportunity to play a great football team that's undefeated and deservedly so. So I think our guys will be jacked up and ready, and we just got to go down there and try to play the best game we possibly can.
Yep, you played really efficient against Mike and mine's alma mater, so we weren't real happy about that when you beat Notre Dame. But it was a great win for you guys. But interesting, difference of NFL, college. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. How was, even before the Kentucky game, you guys knew you were playing in the ACC championship game. How do you discuss that with players before a big rivalry game, kind of 2 steps ahead, knowing you're in another game after that, a title game?
Well, we definitely put a lot of emphasis on Kentucky. I think we were prepared. We worked really hard. Louisville hasn't beat Kentucky in a while in football, so we wanted to find a way to win that game. And unfortunately, we had 3 turnovers. It wasn't our best game on defense. And I'll give Kentucky credit. They came in and beat us. So, we've got to improve and get better. And luckily, we have another opportunity. Now it's against a great opponent that is very talented and well coached. But to play in a championship game of this magnitude for our guys is great for our team. It's tremendous for our program. I think our fans will be jacked up. And it's just something that if we can find a way to win, it's a huge, huge plus for our team. And we know we have our hands full, but, that's why you play the game.
The Florida State team you're going up against, the center of so much conversation in the college football world right now because of some of the playoff implications, because they've got their backup quarterback and Tate Rodemaker in right now. When you look at this Seminole team as you guys scout and prepare and get into the game plan this week, what stands out to you the most about them?
Well, I think they're a very talented football team. They're well coached. To be able to play good football with your starter and your backup coming in, that means you've got some talent across the board. And I think they've earned the right. If they win this football game, without question, they should be in the playoff. They've earned it. A lot of other teams have played close football games. These guys find a way to win. They've done it with multiple people on the field. They're talented on defense. They've got really good running backs. They got receivers that are big and long and as good as in the country. So this is a talented football team. And, the first game of the year, they won convincingly against LSU. They've had some really good wins. So, from my standpoint, I think it's an outstanding football team. And, now for us, we got to go in and try to find a way to win. And I just think, our guys should be jacked up to play a team of this caliber, to be able to get on the field and this type of magnitude of a game and see what you're made of will really test and see exactly where we're at.
It's interesting. A year from now, you're sitting at 14 in the college football rankings. You'd actually be playing this game to try and get into the playoffs with the top 12. Unfortunately, no 2-loss team has ever gotten in the Final Four. So it is spoiler here. And while you're preparing for an excellent team in Florida State, is that the mentality your players have, is this is all about spoiling their chance to get into the Final Four?
Well, I think our guys should know that the pressure's on them. They need to win the football game to probably get where they want to go. And for us, we just want to win the game and find a way to do something special. So, we need to be aggressive in our approach. We need to just kind of cut it loose. We need to have a great week of practice, but I want our guys to enjoy, this week as well, to be able to advance to this type of caliber game, to be able to play on the national stage and show people what you're made of, and be able to do it and focus in for 4 quarters is a challenge. But I think our guys should be jacked up, and this is a great opportunity, and couldn't ask for anything more before the season than this right here in this championship game. So I think we're looking forward to getting down there.
Coach, going back to before the season, this is year 1, and you guys are playing in the ACC championship game. You've had a phenomenal regular season. What's allowed you and this team to be so successful so early in your time back at Louisville?
Well, it's probably a combination of a lot of things. I think that, I've been coaching for a while, came from the Big Ten. We found a way to took Purdue to the Big Ten championship game, and that's a lot of hard work. And I just think you learn from your mistakes along the way. You figure out ways to motivate your young men and gel them together and provide an environment where they love competing. They love going out there every week and challenging themselves to play their best game ever, no matter what happened the week before, being able to come back from a loss, being able to respond to a win. Those are all challenges you have, and you just have to kind of approach it in a way that, our guys understand every week It's a new opportunity. It's a new challenge. And whether you win or lose the week before, you got to do it again. And sometimes when you win, the pressure goes up even higher. So you got to work even harder. And that's the hard part, is making sure guys understand that being hungry and really wanting to excel and be great is a weekly challenge. It's a daily challenge. And if you don't do those small things in competitive football, you're not going to win. So I think our guys have enjoyed the competition. We'd love to have a couple games back, but at the same time, we won a lot of close games too that I'm sure the other team would like to have back. So it's just, that's competitive college football, and you just have to find a way to win the close games. Pay attention to the details, be good at turnovers, and play great defense.
Coach, you mentioned learning from parts of your past as a coach here. What is one thing coming into this job you knew you wanted to do specifically because you've seen a different version of it in the past from yourself?
Well, I think that, the strategy for winning changes every year slightly. You got to base it on the talents of your team. This year we've become a little bit more of a running attack that has controlled the football and played complementary football because our defense, fortunately, has been really good early on. We've kind of taken a step back here the last 3 weeks, but we've been really good early on. We've leaned on that. We were pretty solid on special teams. We just kind of tied it all together, and we found a way to win some close games. Now, when that starts to matriculate in the wrong direction, you got to pick some things up and play a little more aggressive. So we've got some work to do. We haven't been as solid as I'd like to the last couple of weeks. We need to shore up some things on defense. We need to be more solid in special teams, and we need to not turn the ball over on offense. I think if we can do those three things, we can have a chance in this football game.
Coach, we only got about a minute left. About you, coming out of high school, people may not know, you got drafted in the 7th round in Major League Baseball. You didn't go in that draft. You went in a year of college at Louisville, and then you went back in the draft and went in the 4th round for baseball and played both for a while. Any thought looking back and wondering if you would have just stuck to baseball, how that may have gone?
Well, I wasn't very smart back then. If I had it up to do it over again, I would probably play baseball. I didn't know, you made that much money. You never got hit. You could play a long time. Back then, growing up, you just loved football and you loved competing and the aspect. And to me, baseball was kind of a boring game. Just like, my gosh, this is, you get up a couple times at bat, you might get a ball or two every game. But I didn't really realize you could make a whole lot of money and play a long time. But fortunately, it's worked out where I've been able to stay in football. But I love sports, and I love watching sports, competitive sports in all aspects. I enjoyed competing at a young age. Never wanted to coach when I was a player. I'm like, no, I don't want to coach. I want to play. But now that that's over and you realize, you know what, you need to move on, it's great to be around young people and to give back to them and to be in a competitive atmosphere. But I respect great baseball players because that's a hard game to play.
Yep.
Well, I think plenty of Louisville fans very happy that you chose to stick with football because it's wound up with where you guys are at now. Great season here in year one at the helm and an ACC championship potentially coming up this weekend. Coach, we appreciate the time this morning. Best of luck with the preparation the rest of this week. We're all excited to watch you cut it loose.
Okay, thanks, guys. You guys do a great job.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
How great would it be to have that option?
It's one of the added factors. Oh, God.
Oh, but he's right about baseball, in all honesty. I mean, even when I coached you guys, I was real happy when you guys picked up the lacrosse sticks and put the baseball bats down. The game just moves a little bit slow, but he's right, the money you can make.
I was going to say, real lack of foresight. Your other sport besides football was wrestling, which has a robust pro option available to it. And then I was playing lacrosse in middle school. We really thought this one through.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. We have a question that is on our minds. It is burning up the internet. Should we be concerned about Mark Cuban? Okay, a lot of stuff, a lot of news coming out about Mark Cuban that has us all wondering what's going on. So news broke yesterday that he is selling his majority stake in the Mavericks. Deal is reportedly worth $3.5 billion. Cuban's going to remain governor of the franchise in control of all basketball decisions. And then on the heels of that news, we find out that he will be leaving Shark Tank after its 16th season. So, I mean, we don't know what's going on with Mark Cuban, but we do know that because of this news, we're going to do something called Take Tank. So welcome, Sharks. Now GoJo is going to give us some takes, and we're all going to decide if we want to buy in, invest in these takes. And I know some of these have really been marinating for a while, GoJo.
Yeah, been really sitting on these big brain stuff over on this side. By the way, the first take of all this, we're all really worried Mark Cuban's going to run for president, right? Charlotte, that's kind of what this feels like. That's the worry for a lot of people.
Okay, well, I just looked up how old he was, and I was like, oh, he's 65. Maybe he just wants to retire. But that's the most terrifying thing. Why do billionaires need to stop running for president?
Guys,
I'm so sick of billionaires. I'm so over billionaires. You shouldn't be a billionaire. Give away enough of your money to not be a billionaire anymore. Anyway, okay.
I will say,
you were saying, Mike?
He said in July he's not running for president, and he said that his family would disown him if he ran for president.
Wow,
saying
how
you're
about
not
that?
running for president sounds a lot like something someone who's running for president would say.
That's fair.
It's like the owner vote of confidence to the coach. The coach is safe, and then all of a sudden the coach is fired. Charlotte, I will say that someday if I ever become a billionaire, which I'd like to, I will try and be one that you would like.
A magnanimous
Yeah, if you
billionaire.
give me money, I'll like it.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban hasn't given me any money.
It's a very simple formula.
Well, have you asked Charlotte? I mean,
No, that's a good point, Jesse. I haven't.
hey.
Yeah, you know what? You can't win if you don't play, which is why we're going to do Takes Tank here in honor of Mark Cuban leaving the Shark Tank. I think he had invested like over $200 million over the course of Shark Tank in a number of different businesses. So I'm going to try and sell you guys on a couple of ideas I've had here, a couple of takes that I want to get off my chest, and I want to come out the gate with one that I've been thinking, and I'm never sure because I haven't seen it in real life, but just from what I've seen on screen. First take. Victor Wembanyama's slow. Like, it bothers me. He looks like he's moving in slow motion out there. Every time that I watch him play, he's so large. When you compare him to even the other 7-foot tangent counterparts that operate on the perimeter, he seems slow. I feel like I can't get it out of my brain. Charlotte, would you like to invest in the early take that Victor Wembanyama, this unbelievable athlete, is actually slow?
So, first of all, that's very funny because I too have noticed that, but I haven't clocked it. I've been like, it looks like he's having a hard time running sometimes. I'm like, it's like in a dream when you just can't quite get there. But I didn't really put it into the words of like, oh, he's slow. The one thing I will say is his being slow is like one of his steps is so many more steps than other people's steps that I don't know if I can fully subscribe to his being slow because his height, I think, makes up for some of that. But yeah, it looks like he's running through molasses sometimes, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, Mike. I will invest in that. He looks slow. It is tough to tell if he really is slow, but understand at 7'4", you're going to have bigger strides, so it's going to take you a little while to hit full speed. And the thing at 90 feet for a court, by the time he's probably going to hit full speed, he's at the other end because it takes him 4 steps to get from one end to the other. So, in fact, it makes him look slow, and he probably is because he doesn't almost have enough time to get up to full speed. Maybe he'll work with more of a speed person to get shorter steps to start out to get at full speed quicker. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but Mike, I'll invest in that.
I will not be investing because...
Thank you guys for buying in on this.
No, I won't.
Or wait, Jesse, are you going to invest?
Yeah, no, I won't be. He's still faster than me, so will not be investing.
Is your metric, Jesse, is a professional athlete slow if they're slower than you are?
Well, I think that what we did not define...
I'm not saying you're not fast.
We did not define what slow is. Is he slow for basketball? Is he slow for a professional athlete? Is he slow for a 7 plus foot tall person. So for that reason, this take is not fleshed out to the level that you would need for me to invest in it.
Wow.
What if I gave you 20% stake here? Would that change it? You can tweak some of it a little bit. We can tweak the verbiage here. Maybe listen, I'm looking at 20% at a $5 million valuation for this take. And what I'm thinking is, and you can walk with me, what if we tweak the verbiage to say slow for a 7+ footer? Would that specificity be something that intrigues you?
Yes, it would. Yes. You've changed my mind.
There we go.
Okay.
We like that because I do think, like, when I think in my brain, prime Shaq, early career Shaq, faster than Wemby. Faster than Wemby and was bigger than Wemby at that point.
Wemby. Yeah. Okay.
Faster than Wemby. Hashtag faster than. You know what? If you've got someone at GoJo and Golic, hashtag faster than Wemby, let us know on Twitter. All right. Let me get to this next one here that I want to sell you guys. This is actually the final year of the Golden State Warriors' Big Three. Klay Thompson seems like he's going through it right now, y'all. That man has been getting testy with reporters. I've heard that there's some angst about his future contractually there. He struggled a bit as a player, so much so he was asked about Steve Kerr's patience with him in the starting lineup. So Charlotte buying the take that this is actually the last year for Golden State's Big Three together.
You know, it certainly feels like it because of all the stuff with Draymond and then the report coming out that the Warriors think that Andrew Wiggins wasn't in good enough shape heading into the season. And Klay a reporter asked him, like, you know, are you grateful for Steve Kerr's patience? Which is also a pretty funny question. And he said, what, do you want me to bench me? And at the same time, I don't think I'm going to invest in that take. Whoa.
Uh-oh,
we've lost Charlotte's audio here. Apparently, big NBA media is trying to keep Charlotte from buying in on this take. So
she's back.
No. There she is.
We got her.
All right,
you want
she's
to know
back.
what I did? I pressed the mute button on my microphone when I dropped it.
Well done.
Sorry to everybody. No,
self-sabotage sounds like my dating life.
So I would say yes because of everything that's happening in Golden State, but I think of all teams that this would not be the end for, it's them. I think that these guys are all going to hold on. They're going to white knuckle this for another season, I would guess. That's my expert prediction. So sorry, Mike, I will not be investing in your take.
Mike, I will invest in your take. You have a 35 and two 33-year-olds. Again, they have some years left, but at some point these things have to come to an end. Klay right now is averaging, a little over 15 points. He hasn't been that low since his rookie year. Last 8 years, he's averaged 20 or more. Now we'll see if he picks the average up, but all good things come to an end. This was a hell of a run by these guys, and I agree with you. I think it'll be the last year of it.
Yeah, I will invest in this because of the age thing. Like Senior said, not old for the earth, but old for professional sports. And I mean, Klay Thompson has really slow back-to-back seasons, and now he's out here looking agitated, looking angry. So yeah, I buy in.
You're not old for the earth, just like for this club. So, all right, glad to have at least 2 of the 3 Sharks on board for this. Let's get to the last take here. Rapid fire take, guys. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are getting married. Like, it's going to happen. I want you guys to invest on the ground floor of this one. Reports that a moving truck spotted in Kansas City moving gear into the house that they're going to apparently share together while Taylor's on a little bit of a break during the tour. So, Charlotte, I see your eyes lighting up right now. How we feeling, bud?
Take all my money, Michael. Take all of my money. Take every penny I have. I'm so in. That's it.
Yeah, 100%.
Jess, I think 100%. Jesse's in. So I think this is one of those, Mike, where all the Sharks, you get that rarity where all the Sharks want to invest. We all look at one another and we say, hey, do you want to get it? Should we get in on this? Let's try and get a higher percentage, but let's all get in on this. I invest in it as well. I think it's going to happen.
This idea is a unicorn for sure. We're in on it.
This is the sponge daddy of
finally.
Mike's game.
Yep.
Yes, there we go. We're going to ride this all the way to the top, which quite honestly, with this particular story and the news surrounding the 2 of them, has been the thing that we have ridden to great social media success with clips posted from this show anyway, so very fitting. right, as we close up the take tank here, I'm so disappointed because I didn't get to the take that I wanted to get to with you guys, which is I'm ready to believe in the Dallas Cowboys again. Like, they're getting ready to go into the most pivotal stretch of their season. Everyone was selling off parts after the San Francisco loss. I asked on this show what it would take for me to believe in the Dallas Cowboys again in the regular season, and all it took was Dak Prescott to go out and play like the MVP ever since then. The leader in basically any statistical category involved with important quarterback play. You got Aaron. He's been so good. You got Aaron Rodgers to act normal on Pat McAfee and just talk about football for a little bit. And boy, oh boy, was that a beautiful moment. And have I sold this all well enough for us to now just move away from this and talk about the Golden Bachelor like we wanted to? I felt like I needed to get everybody in here, throw them off their scent. Our bosses, we're talking about hardcore sports stuff here. Look at the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Jimmy Johnson's going to be in the Ring of Honor now. The Cowboys are going to be in the playoffs here. And now do you guys want to talk about the fact that Gary was out here getting it on in fantasy suites? Like that actually
the bottom line is, do we want to talk about the Cowboys? Can they overtake Philly in the NFC East, or is it going to be Leslie or Teresa? I think that's pretty much where we are.
Yeah. I mean, Leslie or Teresa is where we should.
Right?
It's where we should go. So, Charlotte, what do you think?
Well, look, here's the thing. I can't predict. The Eagles feel to me just sort of an unstoppable force, a truth at this point. However, I think there's another unstoppable force. I think Teresa pulled a real come from behind, what do you call it? A win, but it's not a win yet? What do you call it when it's a win, but it's not a win yet?
A coup?
No,
an
a win,
attempted
but it's not
coup?
a win yet.
I don't know.
She's getting close, guys.
Attempted coup.
There was a beautiful moment. I've watched enough Bachelor to know that when someone like Leslie gets such a favorable edit, they're toast. They're absolutely toast. And also, so for those who might not remember, Gary goes on this great date with Leslie. He tells her, you're the one, which bad, Gary. Don't do that.
Bad.
Number one Bachelor rule.
No.
Gary is very much like whatever's in front of him at the moment. He's just really into. But I think that change.
Well, you want to talk about golden retriever, man. Gary is actually a golden retriever because he sees the person in front of him and is very earnestly dealing with this process, Charlotte. Like, he had a moment going from the first date with Leslie to the second date with Teresa where he was having a hard time doing the reset that his 20-something-year-old counterparts in this show usually just roll out of bed and do with ease. That, to me, was the biggest sign of, all right, yeah, he's a golden retriever, but he's at least a man with a heart that struggled with this for the appropriate amount of Bachelor time, which was grieving for the morning on horseback and then figuring it out by the time it was time to have sex.
1000%. The moment that Gary and Teresa were sitting there and he was saying in the confessional, he was like, I need to give her a chance. And then he sits down and says, so what do you do? What for work? I was like, Gary, you have had at least 4 years in Bachelor time, which is 6 weeks, to know what this woman does. This woman whom you were about to request that she sleep with you, and you're asking her what. And then Teresa, she's like, well, I was a day trader, and then I ran my own financial, whatever. I don't speak French, but and you're just like, Teresa has her life together in a way that like Gary could only dream of, and you see the light switch where it's that moment where a man realizes like, oh, this woman is for real. And also she could take care of me. And also I want to say one thing that bums me out a little bit about the way this is being structured is that Leslie keeps saying how insecure she is about how if Gary loves her or not, and that she had failed relationships in the past where she didn't feel safe. And Teresa had this beautiful marriage for decades, and it ended. And so she's coming in with the confidence of someone who has been loved safely. And that feels really sort of a bummer to me that is sort of the thing that is seeming to determine a lot of what's going on here. So I feel bad for everybody, but I think it's Teresa by a mile.
I don't feel bad for anybody. They all went on the show knowing exactly what could happen. So I'm not going to sit there and go, I feel bad for anybody.
Wow,
sorry.
you
and
monster.
Listen, I'm of that. I'm of that golden bachelor age group of 6. I'm 60 years old, so I actually like this show way more than the regular Bachelor, where you have all the drama queens, whether it's Bachelorette or Bachelor, drama kings or drama queens, that drive me batty. I don't know if I can ever go back and watch that again. But a couple of things is, they're going to do a Golden Bachelorette. Who's it going to be? We all think it should be Joan. And then I still have this question. What is it? Leslie's from Minnesota and Teresa's from New Jersey.
Yes.
And Gary is in Indy. These are people who are set with their families and grandkids and everything. Who's leaving? Who's ditching out of what they have, where they live, to go maybe live in Indy with Gary?
Well, Teresa's not
Gary
leaving New Jersey for it. At least
she is.
At least Leslie's in the Midwest.
No. Teresa, they're gonna split time. They're gonna do part-time. Teresa seems so ready to be like, she's like, yeah, I love my family. I'm cool not seeing them for a few months. Like, right? I don't know.
Maybe they should just all move to Florida, right? It's like just Florida is next. So it's kind of just the family comes to you.
This is where, if you're a retirement community out there, you pull the full court press on them. Hey, listen, we got a great spot picked out for you here. All your family, they're going to love coming to visit down here. Ditch your car, get yourself a nice golf cart. We got restaurants, we got bars. You're going to get to play golf every day. We got all the activities that you had in Costa Rica. We got that here. And so if I'm them, I'm putting out a billboard. I'm putting ads in the newspaper, because you got to go and meet them where they're at. And it's not the internet. And I'm trying to put on the full court press to recruit whoever the winners are. And I think we all think it's going to be Gary and Teresa to come and move to our retirement village. That's the way I would go with this.
I will say, though, guys, this is disturbing to me a little bit, because we're talking about this. And I mean, Leslie's 64. Like, my parents are 65, and they're not anywhere close to like heading to a retirement home. So it is a little scary the way we've lost our minds when we're like, yeah, they better head to their home, like a home, but they're not that old.
Jesse, I'm telling you, these places, Chris's mom lives in one out here. It's phenomenal. I mean, it is great with things that you can do. There are so many activities. I go out there and golf with her, a decent amount of time. I think there's a stigma on those retirement places. I think they're really actually pretty good if you find the right one.
What's the infamous one? Nice ones. The one in Florida that's like
the villages.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I don't.
Is that the one where they were all passing around STDs?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. There you have it. So
they
let me ask everybody this.
Okay.
Let me ask everybody this. Whoever wins, Jesse, we'll start with you. Leslie or Teresa, do they end up, Gary and whoever, do they end up getting married?
Yes, I think we'll find out that they're already wed. Isn't this just like a you head to the courthouse thing? Because it's like
no. Because people need the exclusive to their wedding photos, and they need it to be potentially filmed. Everybody needs to be. They need it for content that we can follow in real time. I think.
Want them to put on, I mean, you're not wrong. The content would be incredible. Like the big white dress and like walk down the aisle and do the whole thing.
Teresa's got like some bridal boutique that her daughter went to in New Jersey that's like just waiting for her to call.
Yeah. It's like a Princess
so they get married?
Diana looking.
Charlotte?
Yes.
Charlotte, they get married?
1,000%.
Yeah. Okay, Mike?
Oh yeah, I absolutely think so. They've done it before. Like this isn't foreign to them. They've done it before. They actually know what it's like to see the ball go through the basket. So yeah, I think they're in.
They're not scared. That's the thing about this. Gary and Teresa are not scared. They're like, let's do it. So I can't. I'm a little worried though, guys. I have to go to the Pacers game. Pacers Heat. I have to. I'm excited to. I'm going to Pacers Heat. Tyrese Halliburton's tearing it up. Do you think I can like have the Golden Bachelor on my phone in the state? Like,
yes, you can.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm actually looking forward to the shots that I hope Amin El-Hassan will take for the sake of humanity, of all of the action going on in the court and then panning over to Charlotte Wilder, who's sitting there on her phone waiting to see which of these older ladies is going to get their heart broken by the Golden Bachelor. That's the content you can look forward to here and on Oddball. Charlotte Wilder and Amin El-Hassan every day but Monday. Check it out, a part of the great lineup of shows here at the DraftKings Network. Charlotte, you're the best. Have fun at the game. Enjoy taking in that and the Golden Bachelor all at once. Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Last night we were blessed with the penultimate, there's not another T in there, penultimate CFP rankings release. Just had to double check. Fellas, all right, Florida State moved back into the top four, as you can see here. Ohio State dropped 4 spots to number 6, thanks to their loss to Michigan last week. Georgia remained number 1. Michigan moved up 1 spot to number 2. Washington now at number 3. Guys, so much still left to be decided conference championship week, as we've been talking about here. Pac-12 championship game between Washington, number 5 Oregon on Friday night. That one looming large, as it's likely to produce one playoff team. So how do we feel about the penultimate rankings? Penultimate.
Pam. I'm not really sure.
Penultimate. It's that BC versus Notre Dame education, you know?
Boom.
Sorry. Hey, your words, not mine. I didn't make the backup college joke. You did. Anyway, as we head into the penultimate round of rankings, Dad, this is really interesting for the takeaways that we have from this, right? Michigan, after the biggest win of their season, doesn't jump Georgia. Let's start with that, number 1 right now at the top of the heap here. A lot of people look at that and said, oh, that means Georgia's safe no matter what. No team has ever fallen from 1 out of the top 4 after the final round of the college football playoff and conference championship weekend before. but I think this year might be a little different. Were you surprised at
Yes.
all that Michigan didn't get the nod for number one this week?
No, I'm not. I think it also gives the committee the ability to say, if Alabama beats Georgia, to be able to put Alabama in possibly, right? Because they'll have beaten the number one team in the country. And I do see Georgia could get knocked out. I know it's never happened before, but I think the scenario of Florida State winning, Washington winning, and Michigan winning, and then Alabama winning, I think could knock Georgia out. Right? Because you have 3 undefeateds who are going to be in. Let's get this out of the way right now. If Florida State win, no matter what people want to think, if Florida State wins, they're in. Do you buy into that no matter what?
I do, yes. And the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee, Boo Corrigan, the NC State athletic director, did say last night, and we're going to have to parse through this. He said their job is to pick the 4 best teams, not the foremost deserving. We always float that phrase around here. But when you look at the now 9-year going into 10-year history of the college football playoff, every year it has been the foremost deserving. Every year, I believe, has been the same 4 teams that the BCS computer would have produced, albeit some years in a different order. So while Boo Corrigan is saying that, we know it's played out differently. So yes, I agree with you. I think if you have an undefeated conference champion Florida State team, they are absolutely going to be in. Now, the biggest place we disagreed at is with what you insinuated there, which is that leaves room for Alabama. If Texas wins the Big 12 championship, they're not putting Alabama in over them. I want to say that loud and clear. It's not happening. Because if you want to talk about precedents there, Dad, let's put it this way. If you believe that Alabama could jump Texas, both being one-loss conference champions, then you would also need to believe in the same vein that Florida State is capable of getting jumped if they win, but they don't look good doing it, and there's a team that looks better. Because if being undefeated conference champion only matters so much, because head-to-head only matters so much. That's the same line of thinking, and that has to be.
It's not. No, it's not. Because
yes, it is. It's the same thing. You're saying precedent in a specific area that's one of the committee criteria does not matter in this spot.
Listen to your father for a moment. One involves 2 one-loss teams. The other involves an undefeated team and a one-loss team. That's your that's your major difference right there.
Why does undefeated matter if head-to-head doesn't? Why would undefeated all of a sudden matter magically if a head-to-head win? Alabama and Texas played football against each other, and one of those teams won and the other team lost. It was on the road. The rosters have not changed demonstrably in that time, so a head-to-head football game that really happened doesn't matter, but a goose egg in the loss column does for some reason.
Then okay, I listen, we disagree. If Alabama beats Georgia and either or to Alabama and Texas, Alabama's getting in. Whether that's Texas being left out or not, I get head-to-head, and listen, we both played on the field, so we obviously would put a lot into head-to-head. So I understand that thought process. I think the committee will put in Alabama over Texas, because they would then have beat the number one. There's something now. Remember, the committee made Georgia the number 1 team. So Alabama would beat the number 1 team according to the committee. So I think Alabama would be in. That's just my thought.
I completely disagree with that. And I think the actual more interesting conversation, and this is one I saw being had online last night. I want to get the person's Twitter account so I can properly source this. Kyle Bonagura, who's a staff writer at ESPN.com covering college football, said this. Obviously, this was a very good CFP ranking for the Pac-12. You had Washington at 3, and Oregon is the top-ranked one-loss team at number 5. With a UW win, they are obviously in. Oregon should be too. Here's where it could get dicey for the Ducks if you do have Michigan, Florida State, Texas, and Alabama all win. If it happens, who is out? And Dad, when you start comparing the resume for Oregon and Alabama, that's where it gets interesting. Because as we currently sit here right now, Oregon has the higher strength of resume, the metric that the committee usually uses and is a determinant of, hey, what is the chance the average top 25 team has of accomplishing your schedule better? Alabama, higher strength of resume than Oregon, higher strength of schedule than Oregon, higher ranked opponent left on their schedule than Oregon. Oregon's going to play number 3 Washington. Alabama's going to play number 1 Georgia. They've got more wins against higher seeded teams in the most recent round of the college football playoff poll. And if you want to just look at the team, higher ranked in terms of defense and special teams SP+, higher ranked in terms of defense and special teams efficiency. The only place that Oregon leads Alabama is offensively. They're a better football team statistically and efficiency-wise, and then they have a loss that's against a higher ranked opponent, and it was on the road. Alabama's loss was technically a double-digit loss at home, but besides that, Alabama outpaces Oregon everywhere on the resume that these people would pile up.
Okay, then why didn't those 13 people put them ahead of Oregon now? They obviously, for a reason, didn't put Alabama ahead of Oregon. You just gave a great case for why Alabama would be ahead of Oregon, and those 13 people disagree because they put Oregon ahead of Alabama. I'll say this right now. If Oregon wins and Alabama wins, they're both getting in. They're both getting in. If Oregon is number 5, the committee said you're number 5. If you beat a team that's in the Final Four and Washington's 3, they're going to be in. Let me ask you this. If Oregon wins and Alabama wins, and we have all these one-loss teams now, is there any chance for Ohio State to get in this thing with one loss and them not being involved in a conference championship, or are they going to be out of this thing even though they're sitting at number 6?
No, I mean, you would need apocalyptic scenarios to happen for Ohio State to get in, despite the fact their resume also very robust and they'd be waiting in the wings. No, you would need full-blown chaos in a scenario that I'm not nearly smart enough to concoct to make that happen.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Listen, this can be really simple. We all agree if everybody that's going to have these lengthy shows after the final rankings, if all 4 win their conference championships, there's nothing to discuss. We'll try and make a discussion out of should Florida State be there, especially if it's a close game in their conference championship game. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be. The 4 undefeated teams will be in the Final Four, and that would be everybody wants some kind of chaos. But that would make these shows go, oh, man, should we knock this show down to an hour now? Because we can't fill all that time because we know, that there's nothing to really discuss. So we're waiting for something can happen. What loss do you think is most readily could happen in the conference championship games?
I mean, and I'm not just saying this because we had Jeff Brohm on the show this morning. Would not be surprised if Louisville was able to pull this off against Florida State, right? That would not be stunning. I mean, it's. Go ahead.
Yeah, that would be, and that's a one-sided thing. It would just knock Florida State out of this thing. To me, man, even though they're 2 excellent teams, I just think Oregon is playing at another level right now. And I can see them knocking off Washington, which I'm sure you would agree, Oregon would be a lock to be in the Final Four then if they win.
They would be, but I guess the reason I didn't say that one is because Oregon's favored in that game. Like, Louisville's the only underdog that I'm talking about in terms of the Vegas lines that were set on this. Oregon's expected to win this game, and I do think in the conversation with them in Alabama, there is something to, hey, you get a chance to erase your mistake. Like, I do think there's something to that, and your loss being on the road and only being by 3 points. All the things that we know about that circumstantially, where I could make the argument that you could put Oregon in. We looked at the Pac-12 so favorably for so much of the year. I think publicly a little bit of that shine fell off the conference when the wheels fell off USC as publicly and famously as they did. But I still think it's been a very good conference for so much of the year. You've got a Heisman Trophy candidate in Bo Nix and that offense that have played great. They've looked like one of the best teams in college football, and so it would feel odd. But that's the world where I think that we could get to, Dad, is if they win, there's a very realistic world, I think, where the SEC gets left out entirely. And it feels strange to say because of what we know about that conference, but and this is where you and I differ. If Oregon wins, if Texas wins, if Alabama were to win, I think the SEC's on the outside looking in if they decide to look at the Oregon resume and say, hey, we'll look at the fact that, hey, they were on the road, it was so close, they looked so good in that game, and if they go out here and, God forbid, win by like double digits in the Pac-12 championship game, I think they would get in over Alabama. I think Texas would get in over Alabama, and I think you would have in the final year of the 10-team playoff, the SEC potentially miss this thing, which, even as I say it now, I get hives because the idea, and we talked about this, Nick Saban with a chance to politic on the final weekend of the college football playoff rankings. You would watch someone in their final form. Nick Saban is a master at getting up in front of the microphone and having to put on that hat when he needs to in the name of his team trying to make it. And boy, oh boy, would this be a really compelling, difficult decision and a chance for him to do just that.
And he would be so nonchalant if we beat the committee's number one team in the country. You know, I mean, he would make it sound like it should be a given that they would be in. And I'll say this. If the SEC is left out, I want a close-up of Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC. If that were to happen, just to watch his head explode. We disagree there as well. I do not think that is going to happen. Quick aside, because we mentioned Washington and Oregon. You have a Heisman vote. I would imagine you're waiting till after this weekend for it. Do you obviously not going to, don't tell us, do you have in your mind what direction that you're going yet?
No, I obviously have like a cluster of the guys up top. And listen, it's a lot of the names that we would expect. And going into this weekend, knowing Bo Nix and Michael Penix are going to face off, knowing that unfortunately we're not going to get to see another Jaden Daniels game and all the great stuff that he's done at LSU. But I've got kind of the group of players in mind I'm using this week to go back and rewatch a lot of stuff from them. And then my thought process always is, all right, if I get to that point at the end of the week, kind of like with the CFP committee, it's a full body of year, full body of work award. But if it's close at all and you get to hold the pen last, I do think that's something. It's another thing to account for, right? When we're looking, it's statistically, what have these guys done? What have they done in the biggest moments of the season? What do they mean to their team? Meaning, are they getting their team, or, are they making life easier on their teammates? Are they making big plays in the most critical junctures? And if you've got an opportunity to make huge plays on the biggest platform that we have so far in the season, I think that's absolutely got to be factored into it. So I do wait until after conference championship every year to ultimately cast my ballot, just because I do think it's another important addition to the process.
I would love to see Marvin Harrison Jr. win this thing. Hopefully he'll at least be at New York. He deserves to be. If Brock Bowers hadn't gotten hurt, maybe him as well. But I have a feeling it's going to come down to it's this last scene thing. Bo Nix and Michael Penix, if one of those guys or maybe both of them go off for 300-some yards and 4 touchdowns, then the winning quarterback may be the last selling point for that particular quarterback to win the Heisman. Because I think Jaden Daniels is in a lot of people's minds, but they get to see 2 other guys that are in your minds, especially Bo Nix, the way he's been playing as of late. He's the one I would lean to more if they get the win and he has a big name that he could actually pull this thing out.
The Marvin Harrison Jr. of it all is fascinating because, man, as I've gone back and watched a lot of LSU in the last couple of days and rewatched some of them, I'm not even sure the Biletnikoff is 100% his at this point.
Neighbors?
Neighbors has been incredible to watch. That is an explosive athlete who's made some insane catches over the course of this season. Obviously outpaces in yards, but that's what happens when you've got an offense that's got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback versus Ohio State that's been dealing with a drop-off from C.J. Stroud to Kyle McCord this season. So I'm sympathetic to the differences and what Marvin Harrison has done to the point of what do you do in elevating your teammates. That's going to be fascinating, but a really interesting weekend coming up. Tons of stakes this weekend. I mean, the Big Ten Championship's the only one that feels like a foregone conclusion. Even on the right day, Oklahoma State could be squirrely. Ollie Gordon, you want to talk about a potential fringe Heisman candidate, has been awesome as a running back for Oklahoma State during this season, going up against Texas. So, fun one. Looking forward to that. Dad, the only other bit of college football business we've got coming off yesterday is this. Arkansas did the thing.
Yeah.
Sources tell ESPN Bobby Petrino has agreed to become the next offensive coordinator of Arkansas. If you'd missed it for whatever reason, Bobby Petrino had been the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M this last year when Jimbo Fisher and his staff got let go. Bobby Petrino was not retained. Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Bobby Petrino left Arkansas in shame amidst a scandal where he was fired in the wake of a scandal where he hired his lover and mistress and misled his bosses about the relationship, ultimately found out in the motorcycle accident that has led to one of the most famous photographs in college football history of Bobby Petrino and his marked up face wearing a neck brace at the press conference. Lucy Roden, our friend over at the Dan Le Batard show, did it perfectly for the grid of death punishment. And Dad, to make this happen, you had to have presidential approval at the school because they have a rule that states if an employee was dismissed for cause or who has been designated by the campus or division as not eligible for rehire, they won't be eligible for reemployment with any of the University Arkansas System's campuses. So they literally had a rule that went in place, I think a year before that scandal happened, that said if you get fired for cause, we can't bring you back in all this. And they're essentially going to waive that because they're so desperate for offense that they're willing to turn to the devil that they know, as that picture is going to live rent-free in my head.
Listen, it just tells you where we are, right, and what it's about. Because given that situation, how would anybody in their right mind think that you would end up back at that school in a different, here, instead of head coach, you're the offensive coordinator. There are tons of great offensive coordinators out there now trying to find one that if they have a job to pull them away, whatever you try and do. But I am amazed, though, maybe we're also, because we had been in the cancel area, right, where you can be canceled. But I think now we're also in an era of just don't say a word, make the hiring, don't get involved, don't answer back to anything, and just let it all pass, right? And then if the offense starts to look really good, then we've justified it, and that's all anything's going to care about. Not the fact that this unbelievable scandal he had as a head coach. So they would love to just fast forward to get to that. Let's show that our offense is really good, and it makes us bringing him back look like the right move, and then they're just going to be crossing their fingers, hoping the offense does something well, because I'm actually pretty surprised at this move.
I mean, cancel. He's worked plenty since then. The guy's had plenty of jobs since then. Everyone's been
No, I guess
the dude.
I mean at Arkansas.
You're the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he wasn't canceled. He got fired because he lied to the administration about what's going on. And I get, in the grand, and this is such an indictment of the sport, that in the grand scheme of college football and all the awful things that we've seen happen in the sport, this man's extramarital affairs and him trying to turn it into a job opportunity for a person that he was seeing registers lower on the Richter scale than it should. The laughable headline of Arkansas is currently vetting him. Like, vetting him, dog, you're the one who fired him. You know all of the things in this. You're not vetting. You're going back and looking through the things that you already knew.
I guess him getting another job never surprised me, because we see coaches do horrific things and at times end up back in coaching again. So that didn't surprise me. But going back to the place that fired you for what you did, that surprises me. That you would say it's worth going down what we're going to hear about this from our alumni, from fans, from all these people. Is it worth it to bring this one guy in to try and resurrect this offense? And by the way, if the offense is resurrected, then everybody's going to be cool with it.
I am looking forward to that introductory press conference so much, but the only thing that I would be looking forward to more than that is the first time that Arkansas is involved in a college game day game if this hire goes through. Because, man, if it's in an opposing field especially, you're going to see those neck braces out in full force. Again, I would say on the medal stand, like a top 5 picture in my college football lifetime, it is Vince Young going across the goal line in the Rose Bowl against USC, and Bobby Petrino in that neck brace on the medal stand, both jockeying for position.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. It is time for another riveting edition of Golic versus the internet. So GoJo and I are going to try and explain things to Senior that we found on the internet. So let's start with a very appropriate topic for this show, a disgusting food combination. So what you are seeing right now, for those of you listening on the pod, is somebody trying cheese Coke, which is where you put cheese into a cup of Coke, microwave said cup of Coke, to apparently create what is supposed to taste like vanilla Coke. It's like, oh, if you don't have vanilla to add to your Coke and you really want vanilla Coke, just microwave some cheese in it.
So
I'm
listen,
disgusted.
I don't feel good watching this. It makes me angry. And the worst part is I actually was getting ready to look at this and say, I can't believe what people are willing to do for attention with food. As if I wasn't the Duke's man.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like, I have no credibility to stand on. I've got
None.
nothing. I have no leg to stand on in this. So, Dad, this is the internet that I have apparently helped create, and I'm sorry for being a part of it.
You have 2.0 what I have done over the years on radio and TV. I would just eat foods. I would I think I had a donut hole eating contest against Stugotz, eating chicken nuggets against competitive eaters. You know, I've done a lot of food eating things, but never have I mixed like you have, putting an Oreo in mayonnaise, or putting a slice of cheese in a cup of Coke and putting it in the microwave. I mean, it looks disgusting. And I'll continue to say, if that's what floats your boat, then do your thing. You go ahead. But it looked horrific to me. I was waiting for the cheese to melt on top and make it look like French onion soup with the cheese melted on top, which I love, by the way. But a piece of cheese in a cup of Coca-Cola, no thank you. Nope, not even going to try it.
It's also like allegedly just so that you can make your Coke taste like vanilla Coke, where, I mean, I have a simple solution, which is to buy vanilla Coke.
Buy vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Buy vanilla. Like, I would try putting vanilla extract in regular Coke before I just bought this kind of Coke.
So that's,
But Jesse, that doesn't get you on the internet, and that doesn't get you clicks if you just buy vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
You've got to go this route of getting the clicks and doing something different.
I mean, in this day and age, 2023, like, you're telling me that it is that hard for you to go get a vanilla Coke or get some vanilla extract. Like, your only option is to throw some cheese in there. You're right, it's for the clicks, but I just can't deal with it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got?
Okay, so next up, we have the coffee enema, which is exactly what it sounds like. So there is a video, and this is the best video that we could find of this that is going to be suitable for us to show on this show. So we have a woman, she's in her shower, and she's got an enema, and she's doing handstands and whatnot, and there's coffee being injected into her butt. So someone in the comments called this a French press, which is hysterical. What do we think of injecting coffee into your body via an enema, Senior?
What are they, Jesse, what are they saying this does? What is the purpose of it?
Okay, so these are the biohackers who are allegedly saying that it stimulates your sympathetic nervous system and leads to lymphatic drainage and all these health benefits. And then if you Google those claims, basically every doctor out there is like, that is not right. So it's just another one of those biohacker cool things where they're alleging that you can, biohacker is such a buzzword. They're alleging you can biohack your body, but I don't know what it's actually supposed to do, Senior. And it doesn't sound very pleasant, does it?
No. So I'll say this to end the conversation because it makes me uncomfortable. Is number one, I poop just fine, so I don't need any help there. And number two, coffee will only go into one hole in my body, and that would be my mouth. You know,
I think that's a pretty good way to live. Strong words to live by. So
would you try this?
Absolutely not. I mean, why? Like you said, coffee should only go into one hole in your body. Coffee is a drink. It's meant for drinking. It is It's not meant for butt chugging. It's meant for drinking through your mouth.
So I'm wondering, do we think like the vanilla, like the cheese in the Coca-Cola, that this is for click, for attention type thing? Or people are trying to say there's something medically good about this, it seems?
It's both. It's the biohackers trying to get clicks by coming up with something ridiculous and putting it on the internet. But yes, I do believe there are people out there who truly believe that there are health benefits to this. And
okay, the way I look at it, it's a waste of a pot of coffee.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it.
It's a waste. It is a total waste, and it is also disgusting. And if that didn't make your skin crawl, Senior, then this one definitely will. So we have established that we don't like robots on this show. So how about the robotic night lamp? So there is a robotic night lamp that crawls along the floor. It has arms, and it crawls down the hallway. If, let's say, you get up in the middle of the night, you need to use the bathroom, whatever. This thing will crawl down the hallway with you to light your way as you go. Look at its little legs. It's got legs. There's a little square. And look at the person walking behind it. So weird because it has a weird gait. So you got to just slowly walk behind this thing. It looks like a spider, Senior.
So this is stupid. And I hope it never I don't know if it's for sale or if this is a prototype. I don't know. For those that are listening on the podcast, imagine a spider with a block on top of it for a body that's the light. That's what this is.
And I don't like spiders.
It's horrific. You have to walk slower. I mean, if I got to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I'm not slow walking, okay? I'm getting up because I got to go to the bathroom, okay? So all of a sudden, this thing's slowing me down. I'm going to trip over it because I can't get there fast enough. Yep. This is one of the more stupid ideas I think I've ever seen. And by the way, Jesse, as you said, we are anti-AI. We are not for robots. We are not for this. This thing is waiting to get you in the bathroom, and then a freaking laser beam's coming out of it, and it's going to kill you while you're standing at the toilet or sitting on the toilet, and that's going to be that. You know what, gang? 2 words. Nightlight.
Yes.
Okay? Nightlight. We got a nightlight in our bedroom. If I got to get up and go to the bathroom, I'm 60 years old, which means I got to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night at times. A nightlight lights it beautifully. I can walk at my own pace. I don't have to look down at this creepy thing crawling, leading me to my death in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So nightlight. Keep buying the nightlights. We've had them for years. They work really well. This is a ridiculously stupid idea. I would smash this thing. I would step on it and smash it with a hammer.
Also, it's a robot, so it's definitely somehow recording your data and selling it to somebody. It's like this person gets up and pees 2 times a night, so now they're going to sell that information to somebody who's going to try and sell you something on the internet, and it's horrible. We don't want any robots in our house, especially not in the middle of the night.
So let me ask you this, Jesse, and why I'm even more concerned on things is whenever we talk about something in your house, all of a sudden you get an IG or something to post that has maybe that product or something like that product. Doesn't that nerve you out? I mean, I've almost thrown my hands up to say we can't even protect ourselves anymore because you talk about something and it shows up. So our stuff's getting out there. I can't believe it doesn't nerve more people out than already does.
I mean, especially every time you get an update to your devices, something comes out on the internet where it's like, oh, the auto update also enabled smart learning, and now your information's being sold and blah, blah, blah. So basically, there was something that just came out with the iPhone update, where now if your phone is next to someone, they can just automatically get your contact information. Yeah, you got to turn that off, but it's just crazy. That's why we don't want the robots in our house, Senior, and you're absolutely right. I don't want this thing in my house. It's never coming into my house. Is
there any robot that you would accept in today's AI world?
I mean, don't we kind of already have them in our... Isn't Alexa a robot? Do you have an Alexa?
No, I don't, because, again, it's just another thing that's stealing all my information.
Yeah, I don't have one either at this point anymore, to be honest. We had one, and then I didn't like it. We got rid of it. But, we have a security system. I think, unfortunately, the baby monitor could be considered a robot at this point. It's got video and audio. And
so,
yeah, it's really not great. Not great.
Bottom line is this show, GoJo and Golic, is against AI. What we are not against is talking to great defensive players. And one coming up from the Baltimore Ravens, Marcus Williams next.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. The Ravens head into the bye this week at 9-3 and on top of the AFC North. Now, a big part of their success has been due to their dominant defense. They've held opponents to 10 points or less in 5 games this season, including Monday night against the Chargers. Ravens are second in the league in points and total yards allowed per game, but they're really making their mark by getting to the quarterback and keeping their opponent out of the end zone. Now, Baltimore's linebackers coach Chuck Smith said yesterday, "We want to lead the league in beating up quarterbacks." And frankly, that is precisely what they're doing. So the guys had a chance to catch up with a member of this vaunted Ravens defense to talk about why exactly it has been so incredibly tough to play against them this season.
All right, Ravens safety Marcus Williams, kind enough to join us here, coming off a win this past weekend. So congratulations on that first and foremost, Marcus. But I want to go to a point at the end of the win here and get your thoughts. Tell me what was going through your mind as a defensive player on the sideline where you see your offense going, able to get them to burn timeouts at the end of the game, and all of a sudden Zay Flowers bursts through the line and decides to go running into the end zone to get another touchdown on the day for him. What was your thought on the sideline watching that?
Hey, I mean, I wasn't mad at all. I mean, shoot, he had an open lane. He went and go took him. I mean, unless they told him to get down, it's a free reign for him to go score a touchdown. So, you know, I'm happy he got his 2 touchdowns in that game. You know, he's a young star in the making. So I'm happy to have him on my team, and I'm happy he's not doing that to me.
Well, I was going to say, too, if the option is go down or increase my fantasy points nowadays for these offensive guys, right?
Well, shoot, I don't know nothing about fantasy, but shoot, the other people probably know. That probably helped their fantasy team, but I don't know.
Probably helped him a lot, but no, it was a great win for you guys. And while that was a funny story at the end of that game, I saw your teammate Kyle Hamilton had some fun stuff to say about that. The story for you guys really has been the defense for so much of this season. What's clicked especially about this year for you guys and Mike McDonald in the system?
I think this offseason we came in early. You know, a lot of guys came in, pretty much the whole defense, and we got that camaraderie. And, you know, we get together a lot during the season already. And I think us molding and being together, you know, having that time to spend with each other, making these trips, either whether it's London or LA, you know, we've been taking trips all over the world. And I think us being able to bond and spend time with each other has really helped us grow and mold into a better defense for sure.
Can you dive into that a little more for people that maybe don't get that? They see 11 guys on defense, you know, playing the defense and doing their thing, but what goes into that? Just as you said of being together and how much better it is if you know one another better on the field.
It's a lot. It plays a lot into it because, you know, being together, you really get to know somebody. You really get to know what they could do, what we can like build on each other with. But being able to know him, oh, he's going to be here in the post, he's going to be going down, this is how he plays, he's aggressive, he's less aggressive, then you can like play off of that. And then that's what helps you guys, you know, be better because you know where somebody's going to be at what time, and then that's how you make plays. And just being able to talk through any type of situation always definitely helps us because we don't have any egos over here. We're all trying to make each other better, and nobody's like bigger than somebody else. We can all tell each other whatever and hold each other accountable, which always a big thing.
At the center of the defense, so many people made a big deal about when Roquan Smith came over from the Bears and what that did for you guys. But another year with him, what does he bring to a defense that makes him such a difference maker, whether that's physically or as a leader?
Man, he's sideline to sideline. But, you know, like a guy like him, he's pretty much unstoppable. You know, they got to find different ways to keep him away from the ball, which is going to be pretty hard. But because he's going to run through a wall. And as a leader, I mean, he gets us all hyped up. I mean, Roe is that building block that helps make everybody around him better because he's not going to let anybody, you know, play underneath him. They're either at his level or they're trying to exceed that. But he's not going to even let you exceed that because he wants to be the high energy, high playmaking person that he is. And, a guy like that, you can only play to that level because he's not going to allow you on the field with him if you're not playing at that level.
You guys have a bye going on right now, and I know a player or a coach can justify a bye at any time, early or late, but what does this bye do for you guys coming at this time?
Man, I mean, having what, I don't know how many games we played already, 12 or something like that. I mean, it's coming at the end of the year. We got 5 games left. I think it's good. I think it's good getting guys, from that whole year, getting them healthy or whatever we need to do to get your minds right, your body's right to make that end of the year stretch. So I think having this bye right now, I think it plays to our advantage for sure because, I mean, when it comes to playoff time, most guys already had their bye at the beginning of the year, and now they got to play 10 games straight. But for us, now we get that bye right at the end of the year, and we're able to go into that more fresh.
I got to ask this. Mike being a former O lineman and me a D lineman, style sometimes in our clothing wasn't, all that it's cracked up to be. I notice on your Instagram, you're decked out an awful lot in some really nice clothes. Do you have a stylist?
I do. Yeah, I definitely have a stylist. I mean, I enjoy the clothes. I mean, she picks them out. She knows my style. We talked about it. She does a good job putting these outfits together. And man, when I put them on, I just feel like I'm ready for business. So that's just what I want to. That's just like how I can express myself in fashion. How I'm able to put myself out there and show that I wear clothes nice, but I'm also coming to work. You look good, you feel good, you play good. So that's how I want to. That's how I always want to present myself in any situation.
Are you the best dressed Baltimore Raven?
We got a lot of guys with good style, but I mean, I always feel like I'm the best dressed. So I'm gonna just say it's me at all the time. So
there you go. See, Mike, he's got a clothes picker outer just like your mother does for me, right?
Yeah, I can say, no, Marcus, this is what happened is before, and he goes, oh, wow, he's got a lot of really nice outfits. I wonder if he's got someone who lays his clothes out for him. I said, Dad, that's called a stylist. You have my mom who lays clothes out before you go on work trips. Those are two very different things. So it's it definitely has gotten the results that you guys have been looking for here. It's been an awesome season. Marcus, before we let you go, I did want to hit on the other side because we've seen so much injury at the quarterback position a lot this year in your guys' division. You were in the game where unfortunately Joe Burrow was lost for the season. Does it make you even more thankful for what you guys have on the other side of the ball in Lamar Jackson? How much of a difference does he make even for you guys on defense, knowing what he does for you each and every week?
Man, having a guy like Lamar, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I came here. I mean, I already knew, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and I wouldn't want to have any other quarterback than him, to be honest. I mean, the way he's able to throw the ball, the way he's able to get out of certain situations, he's just that leader, that quarterback back there that you want on your team, and he's hard to bring down. Playing against him is not fun. So those guys I know have a tough time even game planning against him because he's gonna run, he's gonna pass, he can throw on the run. You don't know what he's gonna do. So now, you're trying to go tackle him? He pump fakes you. How are you supposed to play against somebody like that? But Lamar's one of the best, so I'm definitely grateful and thankful to have him back there as a quarterback, and we're just gonna continue to strive, and he wants that Super Bowl, so we all gonna do what we can to help him get there and help us get there all together.
When in doubt, choosing to be Lamar Jackson's teammate a lot better than having to play against him. Wise words to live by, and definitely worked out well so far. Marcus, we appreciate your time, man. Enjoy the bye. Congrats on a great season so far, and good luck the rest of the way. We know you guys got some big goals, and we're excited to watch.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Good stuff from the guys. Coming up, we will send you off into your day with this, that, and the third, including why Dolly Parton doesn't text. It is for an iconic reason.
do this, that, and the third. 3 quick stories to send you on into your day. As always, make sure you download, subscribe, rate, review. Leave us a 5-star rating. Tag us at GoJo and Golic on Twitter if we make your Spotify end-of-year wraps, because we are vain and self-serving, and we will retweet it because we're not above that. You can check us out here live every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on the DraftKingsNetwork.com, DraftKings YouTube channel, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, and more. But if you miss any of it, like our great guest, Jeff Brohm, the head coach of Louisville's football team, getting ready to head to the ACC championship game, Charlotte Wilder, our good buddy from the Oddball podcast, or Marcus Williams, safety for the Baltimore Ravens, who you just heard. You can check it all out wherever you get those pods, or right on YouTube. As soon as we finish this show live, we will get to an unbelievable first for a grown woman in Jessie Cofield after we get you this word from Wrangler. Guys, jeans, shirts, and jackets made for the ride of life. Be ready for those cooler days and longer nights with Wrangler. Styles that are going to keep you warm, keep you comfortable moving, and looking great no matter where you are. You can wear Wrangler jeans literally anywhere, guys, at work, out at night, playing pickup game with your friends, at home, watching the game on TV. They are that comfortable. They are that durable. And there's a Wrangler shirt for every occasion. They got casual tees, snaps, and button-ups, or layer them together for the best of both worlds. And do not forget about the iconic Wrangler jackets. When the weather starts to chill and you need to venture out, Wrangler will keep you ready for anything. So add some Wrangler to your get-up with jeans, shirts, and jackets that look great, fit great, and move great, so you're always ready for whatever life throws at you. Save 15% on your first Wrangler.com order with promo code GOJO15. Wrangler for the ride of life. Guys, let's get to this. Internet prompts are my love language. And we got one the other day for a user asking your top 10 out of 10 non-alcoholic drink. I want to hear from you guys because my peanut brain immediately went to airplane orange juice over ice. It is always there for me in my time of need. When I travel, I look forward to this as much as anything. The ice is a textural marvel. Orange juice is the thing that makes me feel like I'm actually helping my body in an effort to not get sick while I'm traveling. So where are you guys on this?
I would prefer an OJ, like the pulpy OJ. Personally, I love like a fresh squeezed orange juice. You know, this is like the sugar OJ.
Yeah.
You like the pulp?
Yeah, I love
I
the
like
pulp.
the pulp. Yeah, you know what? I like the pulp too. I mean, I can go either way, pulp or no pulp, but I absolutely love the pulp. But Mike, to your point, every now and then, yeah, I'll get an orange juice on the plane and just chug it and feel like I've done my body good, right? I'll feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm getting some vitamin C and I'm getting some hydration. But for me, if I'm going to pick one, the non-alcoholic drink I drink the most, quite honestly, and your mother does as well, is unsweetened iced tea without any sweetener, not even putting any sweetener or anything into it, just unsweetened iced tea. I love the taste. It's a great drink just to have. So that's probably, that's the most popular for me. The non-alcoholic drink I drink the most outside of water.
So I would say for me, it's kombucha. There is like it doesn't count. There's like a trace amount of alcohol in kombucha, but you don't have to be 21 to buy it. So I would still consider it an alcoholic-free drink. And I drink kombucha on the reg every day.
You know what? Love a good booch. Probably wouldn't be my 10 out of 10, but you're right. It does not qualify. Do not pass go. No. Do not collect $200. It's not an alcoholic drink, right. No matter what jokes people want to make and feel clever about. I would wonder what this answer would be for Dolly Parton. Jesse, can we get to that and this, that, and the third? Dolly Parton laying down the gauntlet, an important boundary in her life.
Yeah, so Dolly Parton came out in an interview and said that she doesn't text, and her reason for not texting is iconic. She said that she doesn't want to talk to all the people that want to talk to her. So she essentially is saying, and who could argue with her, she is so iconic, so incredible, so amazing. So many people want to talk to her, and she just doesn't have the time. She does not want to do this. She does not want to speak to the people that want to speak to her. So Dolly Parton, if you want to get in touch with her, you better be calling. And if she decides that you're not worthy, then she simply is not going to answer that call. And if you text her, she won't reply. She doesn't know how.
Well, the one thing about texting is you have to have that person's, usually their number, or they have yours to text you, because she says just what you said. I don't want to talk to everybody that want to talk to me. I don't text because I don't want to have to answer.
Yeah.
Listen, it's very simple, and I love that. I mean, our family text is going all the time, and I chime in every now and then just because there are times I'm like, I like reading what they're writing, and A, at times I don't have anything good to add. B, when I do add something, I usually get mocked for it. That feel bad for me, Jesse. I am the one in the family who gets mocked the most when we text to one another. But at least it's people I want to text with, right? I mean, this isn't tweeting where you're getting randos answering you and you don't have to answer them. This is people who supposedly have your contact and that you have some kind of relationship with, that you're basically just saying, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, what I take from this is she has simply decided that she's not going to open that door. She's just going to keep that door firmly closed. So anybody who gets in touch with her, it's like, you got to call her, because that's the only way to talk to her. And if she doesn't want to talk to you, she's not going to answer your phone call. Whereas with texting, Senior, like you said, sometimes even if you don't have anything to add, you don't really want to be part of the conversation, you're still expected to do something.
I think there's a difference between group texting and just texting in isolation. Like, unless you have read receipts on, which if you do, you're a monster. That's weaponized chaos. Anyone who does that to their friends or loved ones clearly does not actually love them that much, because they get to see when you decide that you've had enough. Like in normal texting, if someone decides to text me and I'm not ready to answer, then I just leave it on red and I go about my day and I answer it when I'm ready, and they're no worse for the wear. They don't know any different. But when you put the read receipts on, now all of a sudden you've created chaos.
Are you calling them read receipts? Do you mean the red receipts?
Is that what it is? Read? Red?
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
aunt. Who cares?
Because you read it. That's why it shows up as being
but I'm
read.
reading it too. No. I'm reading it. It's a read. I'm reading it, so it's a read receipt.
But it's not reading. It's read receipts.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is read or read receipts?
We don't have nearly enough time to explain all of that, because we have got to get to the third, because our friend Jesse Cofield has never had a Pop-Tart before. We found that out the other day. Congratulations on Jesse, by the way, passing her gestational diabetes test yesterday with flying colors.
Well done.
So that now she can eat these Pop-Tarts.
In the honor of passing my glucose test, which means I do not have gestational diabetes, we're going to be getting into this. This is a toasted strawberry frosted Pop-Tart. This is untoasted. Which do I bite into first, guys?
Well, I have never had a toasted. I've never toasted a Pop-Tart in my life. I'm still amazed. Again, people understand. Jessie has never had a Pop-Tart, toasted or untoasted, in her life. This is her first bite into a Pop-Tart. Go untoasted. She's biting. She's taking.
You got to make sure you get part with the filling in it. You might have just got too much edge there. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Take
get some of that natural fruit flavor inside that.
I think that looks like the strawberry one. You want strawberry? I know you have a strawberry and you have a brown cinnamon sugar one as well. So,
yep.
And Jessie went in with a bad attitude. I'm going to say right now.
I was going to say, I don't like the faces she's making.
She said, guys, I'm telling you, I'm not going to like it. So you have basically, before you've done this, talked yourself into not liking it. And I can tell that's where you're going to go. So go ahead and tell us.
It tastes exactly the way I thought it would, which is like, a watered down pastry. It's like if you took a delicious pastry and you 3D printed it. That's what this tastes like.
Tried the toasted one.
See, again, Mike,
better.
what we're dealing.
Okay. There we go.
While she's chewing that, Mike, and while she's openly ripping something that we love in a Pop-Tart, what I would say in defense is, she does have a caviar palate.
God damn.
Right?
I knew we were.
Oh, there's the caviar Pop-Tarts. The Jesse Cofield special. Jesse, final ruling, in or out on Pop-Tarts?
Jesse's an elitist. If I was at the Fire Festival and this was all I had to eat, I would gladly take them. But I will not be consuming Pop-Tarts of my own volition on my own time after this.
Wow.
All right. Well, hopefully you will leave us a less scathing review when you download, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Leave it a 5-star rating. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.